This segment will cover building Marlowe contracts using Blockly. What you see here is the contract from the previous video, which we built directly in Marlowe. And this has been rendered in Blockly. But we can see here, you can take this apart, we can pull these blocks apart. And what we have to do in this editor is build something, a top level contract. And we can build that, for instance, by inserting a payment there. But you'll see that we can't insert a deposit. That won't go in because it's the whole is not the right type. And the different types of things we have in here are contracts. Each time we click on one of these, we see all the blocks that represent. So we see a when, a pay, an if, and so on. We have observations. We have actions. So we'll see some actions here. We've seen some, and they're color-coded, so you see actions are yellow. We see values are red. Payees are the people. These are things to which payments are made, either accounts or parties. There are parties themselves, public keys or roles. There are tokens, which could be ADA. And there are bounds when choices are made. Okay, so how do we build contracts up? Well, we assemble these blocks. So let's, I've taken that apart. Let's put it back together again. We have a when, which has three components, a collection, a list of possible cases, of actions go in here, and after slot, the timeout, we have a continuation, how the contract continues. Here it's a close. And here what we're doing is we're waiting for a deposit by Alice of €1,000, 1,000 Lovelace into her account. And I suppose what we might do is then continue as another when. So we can select a when from here. Let's continue as we've got a timeout of 100 there. So let's make this inner timeout 200. So we're going to wait rather longer. And we can, just as in any ordinary editor, we can copy and paste. So we can copy and paste this into the gap here. And now let's say we want to wait a deposit from Bob of 100 ADA, and Bob puts that into Alice's account as well. And then we have to continue in some way. And what we'll do here is let's continue as making a payment. So we're paying Bob 1,100 from Alice's account. And then what we'll do is close. What we haven't said is what we do after slot 200 if Bob hasn't made the corresponding deposit. What we'll do, let's just say we'll close there. Because remember what close does, when a contract is closed, any money that's in an account will be refunded to the account holder. And here, when I've highlighted a block, I can use Command C, Command V on the Mac, Control C, Control V on other systems to copy and paste. So there I've got a copy of the whole tree underneath, the whole set of blocks underneath there. And then I can delete those like that. So here we have that contract that has been built up by assembling the blocks. What we have, perhaps we could do just to show things in a bit more complicated format, we could continue as another sort of action where what happens is a choice is made. Sorry, we need to contract, that would be a when, and we wait for the action of a choice being made. Let's say pick, let's call it pick. The choice owner is, who should we let? Should we have Carol make the choice? So that will be a party. Let's say that Carol chooses, and Carol chooses choice bound, so between, let's say she chooses between 1 and 2, and then we have to continue as a sort of contract here. And I think what we'll do here is let's do a contract where we make a distinction on the observation, and the observation here is the value of this contract, this observation. So let's, what are we doing? No, that isn't a, what we'll have to do, the observation will be something slightly different. The observation will be that something is equal to something else. So let's say we want that the value of the observation is equal to, let's say the value of the choice made by Carol is equal to 1. So what we do here is we look at values, and so we have the choice called pick by Carol, we can cut and paste there, is equal to, so the choice of there is equal to, and then we have to put in another value here, and the value will be the constant 1. So let's say if it's equal to the constant 1, then we'll pay Bob the money. Otherwise, let's just copy this. You can copy that whole block and paste. Otherwise, what we do is we will pay Alice that amount of money. So what we have is Alice deposits some money, Bob deposits some money, Carol makes a choice of either 1 or 2. If the value chosen is 1, then Bob gets the money. Otherwise, Alice gets the money. And once we've done this, we can send this contract to the simulator. So now we see it rendered as Marlowe in the simulator. And we see perhaps that we've made a mistake here, that we have a timeout of 0 there. And what we'd like to do is not have that as 0, but have that as 300. Because the outermost when will wait up to timeout 100, the next inner one up to 200, and the innermost up to 300. So let's send that back to the simulator. And now we can see we have a contract. We have a contract which is in the simulator, and we built that in Blockly. And I think there you've seen all the aspects of Blockly that you might want to see. We've got, by mousing over, by clicking on any of these, you see the available completions of a contract. It's color coded, so everything that's a contract is purple, everything that's an action is dark yellow, and so on. And contracts take this sort of format.